The thing with Ripley is that it is the most beautifully shot series on Netflix. Hey everyone, welcome back to Candid Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMXND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today I will be reviewing the new Netflix series Ripley, which is written and directed by Steve Zaillian. He is an incredible writer. He's a great director. He's worked on The Irishman, which is obviously one of my favorite films ever. He worked on The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He has been around and he has made some incredible projects. So I think that him tackling this story of Ripley, that is Tom Ripley, and if you aren't familiar with The Talented Mr. Ripley, the film, and also the book written by Patricia Highsmith, that is what this series is based on. The Talented Mr. Ripley, starring Jude Law, Matt Damon, and Gwyneth Paltrow, is one of my favorite films, but I do think that Andrew Scott in this series in Ripley, which is dropping today on Netflix, was absolutely incredible. And I'm happy that we have an 8-episode series for Tom Ripley for this novel. I think Patricia Highsmith's novel was meant to be adapted into a television series instead of a 2-hour film, where the film was left ambiguous. But that's also part of the allure of, Jude Law also as Dickie Greenleaf. I think that there was a difference in storytelling, but you could really get into like the nitty gritty and fully form who Tom Ripley was in this series versus the film. I love Dakota Fanning as Marge Sherwood in this as well. So the thing with Ripley is that it is the most beautifully shot series on Netflix. The cinematography, because it is done in black and white, you can really tap into the shadowing, the lighting, play with that. There's also incredible depth to these compositions of these frames, and you have beautiful architecture because you're in Rome, you're visiting Palermo, you're in Altrani, you're in different regions of Italy, and you can explore the architecture through that, the art pieces, but there's a lot of depth within the frame, which I found absolutely fascinating, considering that there's so much silence that fills the screen. So you're really just taken aback by where Ripley travels to. For those of you who don't know, Tom Ripley is a con artist, and he is very close friends with Dickie Greenleaf, or so he says. So at the beginning of the series, we see that he doesn't really follow the rules. He breaks them quite a bit. And he is the ultimate con artist. So you see the beginning of who Tom Ripley is within the first episode, and it's little side jobs here and there, but he knows how to manipulate people. He knows how to remain composed. And I think it is one of Andrew Scott's best performances. I think he was brilliant in this. It's incredibly layered, and he has an internal battle of right and wrong, and even the queer aspects of his character, especially with Dickie Greenleaf. There's an exploration of that, even though it's left ambiguous, similar to the film. I think they explored a bit more in this series because of the longevity. You're able to get into the relationship between Dickie and Tom, and then Marge also comes into play here as like an innocent bystander watching what Tom is doing to Dickie. I think it's so well done. I think from the beginning of this series, and we see Tom Ripley trying to get out of this like grungy hole that he's stuck in this apartment, and he's really trying just to scrounge to con people into giving them different checks as a collector's agency. And I think that what we see is the opportunity for him to do something great and to change his life. But that's definitely not what we get, because Dickie's father says we need Dickie to come back home to New York. He hasn't been here in like 6 months. He's stuck in Italy. I don't think he's ever coming back, but he really does want him to come back. So in order to get some form of money, Tom agrees to go to Italy and see if he can sway Dickie to come back. And his father actually pays Tom Ripley to go there. He pays for the trip. He pays for all of his expenses. He's like, please bring my son home. That's not what ends up happening in this series. So without giving much away, all I can say is that this is beautifully shot. For those who love thrillers, for those who love psychological thrillers, there's different aspects of Tom Ripley's character that you kind of question if he does have a mental illness. They do explore that. I think Zaillian does an incredible job with piecing the fragments of Tom Ripley's mind together so the audience can kind of visually see what's going on in his head. And I think it was exceptionally done. This is a fantastic series. From beginning to end, it's fantastic. We have Maurizio Lombardi playing the inspector, and I think once he comes in to unravel the situation within the second half of this season, I think it's incredibly well done. Just to see Tom Ripley spiral, just to see how far he's going to take this ruse. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's some of Steve Zaillian's best work. I love the writing for this. I think it's perfectly adapted. But also what I did see in the talented Mr. Ripley back in the film, there wasn't enough that they did in that movie. And we finally get a full characterization of Tom Ripley in this series. I thought it was fantastic. And for my noir fans out there, this is absolutely perfect. Again, I loved every second of it. I was so intrigued. I was hooked until the very end because there are so many things and obstacles that Ripley has to face towards the end of this. So it is the ultimate con job. I think the forgery was done well. And of course, again, I'm biased that it was taking place in Italy. It's beautiful, like scenic work. Again, there's depth to these frames that will impress you at every turn. I was like, wow, that's like beautifully shot. So just everything about it, even down to the score. Also like different songs from the 60s in Italy that were so famous are played throughout here at opportune moments as well. So I think that people are going to really enjoy this. Andrew Scott, again, is phenomenal. It's crazy how long I've been a fan of his because I remember watching him as Moriarty in Sherlock, BBC Sherlock, and I was like, this guy has to be in everything because I love him. And then slowly he's like progressed in his career, and I've always managed to find time to watch anything that he's in. This is also a shout out to All of Us Strangers that is currently on Disney Plus streaming. Please watch that. He was also brilliant in that. But this... what a performance. He's phenomenal in Ripley, so I highly recommend it. I'm giving Ripley on Netflix, the entire series, a 5 out of 5. I think it is the best thing Netflix has done this year, and I'm very excited for other people to watch it. It's a slow burn, but if you enjoy Andrew Scott and his performance, I think that you'll be able to stick around until the very end. It's only 8 episodes, really well structured. Pacing is very strong. It does not waver, and I think that at the end of every episode, it just perfectly ties into the next, and you get little tidbits and clues throughout the episode with how many steps ahead Ripley actually is. He's always 5 steps ahead, and you don't realize that until like 2 episodes after in the way that he constructs this con. So I think it's absolutely brilliant. Let me know if you're a fan of Patricia Highsmith's novel. It ties to the film and to the series, so let me know how you guys feel about all of this in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And if you guys want to help me grow this wonderful channel, you can find out ways to do that in the bio below. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.